We jump on we're streaming. We are streaming on YouTube now, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you're watching on. I guess we're triple streaming. We're on TikTok, we're on X, and we are on YouTube today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to present to you guys proof that the British government and the institutions have been infiltrated. Now, who they've been infiltrated by, I don't know, but I'm going to present to you guys some evidence about how you can see this infiltration. All you have to do is look. Now, what would you want to quickly, before we go on to this, before we start, is what I want to talk about real quick is previous videos I've talked about, which I've talked about subversion, and I've gone on about it. Now, you don't. To have control over a country, you don't need to control that many people. So, for example, if you control the legal system, or just a few high-level barristers or judges, sorry, not barristers, if you control a few high-level judges, sorry, if you control those people, they pass the laws that seem ridiculous, they seem crazy, but once that's passed into law by one person, guess what? Thousands of police officers comply with that one person. So while people think, oh, but Sean, that would mean that all the police force is being infiltrated. No. That's not how subversion works, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very hierarchical system whereby if a judge, for example, and again, the example I give, it's always a crazy one. And I always say, look, if there was a law passed where everybody's firstborn child had to be given to the government, and then you never saw that child again, if that was passed into law, thousands of police officers in the United Kingdom would be obliged to follow that law, because that is the system we have in the United Kingdom. So I just want everybody to understand, you only need to convert, control, subvert a few people, a few high-level players, and you can control the whole system. So what am I talking about? What's Raven banging on about? What's Raven's proof that the British government has been infiltrated? So let me set the scene, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, let me set the scene. All right, the Royal Courts of Justice, grand Gothic building, a symbol of British law and justice. I'm laughing when I say that. I think it's neo-Gothic, actually. Suddenly gets adorned with a Banksy stencil. And when I'm talking about this, I can remember a conversation I had when I used to work for, I'm not going to mention the name, a really big NGO. And I used to be talking to this guy, and he was like a massive liberal. Honestly, he was like so woke. He was Northern Irish. And he used to say to me, Sean, the only thing realistically that changes the world is art. And he was talking about how, like, art changes the world. And a lot of that liberalism has rubbed off on me. When I was talking about these movements, how these movements work, how they happen, I said it's not always, it's not one person who stands up and does something. It's something symbolic. It's a piece of art. It's some sort of music. So I do understand how powerful a piece of art can be. That it's thought-provoking. It's an idea. And that's what we're talking about here, guys. We're talking about the suppression of ideas, which I don't think should happen. I think everybody should be should be allowed their own ideas. Anyway, so the Royal Court of Justice had a Banksy, a Banksy mural. Thank you, Debbie Doobs. Debbie Doobs, you just become a member on YouTube. Thank you so much for becoming a member, Debbie Doobs. I need to start doing more member stuff on the on the YouTube, guys. Thank you for becoming a member on YouTube, Debbie. So we're talking about this, guys, and I'm gonna give you guys relevant examples now of blatant control, blatant infiltration. So let's just understand there was this Banksy stencil on the Royal, I think it was the Royal, the Royal Court of Justice in London, which was a stern judge, and he's swinging his, what are those hammer things called? They're not called hammers, are they? Is it like a gobble? I think it's like a gobble, gavel. Is it a gavel? gavel. I think it's called a gavel or something. Then you know the little hammer things. I think they're called a gavel or something. So you've got this Banksy with this judge, and he's clubbing, he's striking this fallen protester. Now, the protester has no marking on his placard, which is obviously symbolizing the police state in the United Kingdom and how the legal system is coming down heavy on control, and it's not giving people their democratic right to oppose. Like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, if you live in the United Kingdom, we have no way of opposing a tyrannical government. None, zero, zip. It doesn't happen in the United Kingdom. We cannot oppose a tyrannical government in the United Kingdom legally. We have no legal mechanism for that. So we've got this judge, you know, having a go at the fallen protester, which is obviously a direct attack at the UK's heavy-handed policing of demonstrations. Like, you can't deny that, guys. You can't deny that judges giving people 20 months in jail for shouting at a dog is heavy-handed. I don't think you can deny that. I don't think that shouting at a dog at a protest is 20 months in jail. You know, if I saw that guy shouting at a dog, I'd probably call him a dick. But I wouldn't say you're not allowed to be with your friends and family and your kids, you know, for 20 months because you shouted at that dog. I think it's ridiculous, guys. Absolutely ridiculous. There's obviously more examples more examples we can talk about. So Banksy confirmed that this was said Banksy on his, I think it was on his Twitter or on his X. He wrote, Royal Court of Justice, London. Now, the timing, ladies and gentlemen, this Banksy is, I don't know who Banksy is, and I've been very critical of Banksy, and I do just think it's graffiti. But, I'm kind of going liberal. I'm going liberal Raven at the moment. Because to me, it was just so strange how quickly this was, cleared up. Obviously, after the Banksy, you had the protest in London where there was was it like 900 people arrested from this Palestine Action Group? And again, I don't think they warranted those arrests. I don't, guys. I'm not for what's happening. I'm not for any of that. But I'm not against people being arrested for voicing their opinion. You know, obviously, if you're doing it in a peaceful, if you're doing it in a, if you're doing it in a peaceful manner. So, and just the context, these arrests, the UN said it was a misuse of anti-terror laws, and I don't know if you guys caught that, but that didn't really make it out here onto the media. Anyway, guys, so the Banksy, the image outside the law courts, it was spread on social media like absolute wildfire. Absolute everywhere. People are posting this picture of Banksy outside the law courts. I even think they had a judge walking past. But by dawn on September the 9th, HM Courts and Tribunals Service announced the removal of this Banksy, claiming for preservation and public safety. Now, a tarpaulin sheet was draped over it, metal barriers were erected, police were standing guard. I can assume CCTV was watching all over, and the official excuse was damage to a historical building and to prevent vandalism. But let's be serious, guys, all right? This was a grade 1 building, yes, but there have been other graffiti on that have been left to linger. Also, I saw an article about a caravan. I can't remember where it was, and I may be slightly wrong on this. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. There was a caravan that's been somewhere, and it said Free Palestine on it. And it's been there for I think 8 months, 8 or 9, but I don't know, a long time, 8 or 9 months, and it's had Free Palestine written on it. Somebody put a George's cross on it, and it got removed within 24 hours. So you can understand, you can see now the direction and the totalitarianism that we really are slipping into, guys. So, like I said, grade 1 building, yes, and it is a beautiful building. I love that neo-Gothic and Gothic architecture. Actually, now they said they don't want they don't want it to be there for what did they say public safety, basically. They're getting rid of it because of public safety. Now, I don't believe that, and that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, I believe, and this is Raven now, I believe the real reason for this was the absolute symbolism, guys. The absolute symbolism right now of our legal system in the United Kingdom. And I may get arrested for saying this, guys. Sitting here in the United Kingdom, like, this is the sort of stuff you could get arrested for saying, like, you could get, like, honestly, guys, I could get arrested for saying that I believe the real threat with that graffiti was the symbolism. You know, a mirror to a justice system that seems to be very infiltrated. That's the best word I can use, guys. You know, that legal system, it does seem to me that it's infiltrated. Like, how, you know, if the legal system's supposed to be free and fair and equal, I'll give you some examples in a minute, guys, but, you know, it's very difficult to argue against that. Let's just contrast this, guys. All right, we have got a legal system in the United Kingdom that's, you know, putting mums in jail for tweets, putting men in jail for shouting at dogs, while letting the 2005 one of the London bombing plotters walk free. So I don't know, guys. I don't know how that's, I don't know how, again, to me, my perception anyway, my perception is that there are infiltrators at work at the highest level of this justice system. Now, that's my perception. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because maybe I'm getting something wrong. Maybe I'm getting something wrong. So these would be embedded agents, you know, embedded agents in Whitehall, councils, security companies, high levels of the police, you know, where you don't need that many people. If you're in a hierarchical society, you don't need that many people to infiltrate the whole system. For example, when I was in the military and I was operating in Northern Ireland is a good example. When I was operating in Northern Ireland, there would, you know, you would get told, right, if the press or the media come over and speak to you, this is exactly what you will say. And you have to write it down in your notebook. That was the, you know, so one person is dictating what everybody's saying. So if you have one corrupt judge and they pass a law, then all the police officers have to enforce that law. It's, you know, it's ridiculous, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, let's continue, guys. Let's continue. So I do think this, I do think the covering up of this, Banksy, they did it before, you know, a protest energy could reignite, you know, and I do think that Banksy did expose the farce, I'm saying it, you know, that people are perceiving. I've got to be very careful with my words as well. The farce that I believe, so I'm not saying it's a farce, I'm saying that I believe, which I'm sloping my shoulders here, guys. The farce that I believe people perceive, so I'm throwing another word in there that's giving me a get out of jail card. The farce that I believe people perceive to be as the legal system, you know, and I don't believe that those people that are in the judicial system could allow that to stand. Remember, guys, right? When you get an idea, you can't lock up an idea. How do you lock up an idea? Now, let's just real quickly, guys. So we've got this. Take that in your mind, right? That, you know, the Banksy outside the judicial system. Like hours before it was covered up, hours before, you know, and I would say it's gone now, although I haven't got confirmation of that. Now, let's just contrast, you know, this lightning fast erasure with the times Banksy's works being allowed to breathe, even thrive. And look, guys, I will be quite clear. I've said all along, I do think it's just graffiti, but it's really interesting when you see this and you see selective protectionism, I guess would be the right word to use. So you've got the there was a Banksy put up in 1999. Yeah, it's been going that long. There was a Banksy put up in 1999 in Bristol, and this was called the Mild West. This was a teddy bear throwing like a petrol bomb at the police. I think that's what it was. Now, that is still standing today, guys, after 26 years. Not only is it still standing, but it's covered in protective glass. You know, and the council, they're looking after it and they want to preserve it as part of a cultural gem. So when you see things, you know, which is letting people thinking, yeah, Banksy's against the machine. But what that actually is that is against one of the tentacles of the machine. And when you actually identify the machine, which I would argue is the legal system, you know, corrupt judges, then, oh no, we can't have that. But when you're just mocking the police, which are an agent of that said, of that said machine, oh no, we can't have that. Oh, actually, the police is fine. Let's not worry about people getting angry with the police because we're not bothered about them. Let's only worry when things are reflected on us. Very interesting, guys. We always need to look at who you can't criticize. There was also the this is the one that did it for me. I don't know if you know, but there was a mural at Southampton University College, which was a child. And there's like this child, and he's got like, I think he's a boy or a girl. I think it's a boy. I don't know. There's a child, basically. And the child has got like an NHS worker as a doll, and he's playing with the NHS worker as a doll. And in the background, there's all like the superheroes that are in like in the bin. Obviously, signifying that our real superheroes are the NHS workers. You know, those ones that were that rushed off their feet, they couldn't stop doing TikTok videos, or either they were not rushed off their feet and there were people in the very next room drawing their last breaths, and they're all like this doing the TikTok videos, like, you know, and those things got promoted and pushed down our faces. Anyway, so that's the other one, you know, and that has not just been left. That's been profited on. You know, people sell that now as, you know, as pictures. So we've got two. Well, we've got more than two. We've got a massive contrasting, direction here in how Banksys are handled. Now, let's zoom out a little bit, guys, and I will come on to the comments in a little bit, guys. Right? Let's just zoom out. You know, the pattern's undeniable. You know, absolutely undeniable. The Royal Court, Banksy, follows a trail of suppressed dissent. Now, whether you're on the left or right of politics right now, it kind of doesn't matter. I think that line, there is more that unites people than separates them. Unfortunately, it's just, this is the way we're going. You know, I'm clearly on the right, although I listen to people on the left and I welcome everybody's opinion. So we do have this, you know, this trail of suppressed dissent. Whether it's phone hacking scandals, whether it's, you know, government officials not paying tax, whatever it is, guys. You know, there was that company, Cambridge. This is what I'm thinking of. They were spying on everybody, spying on everybody's Facebook. Was it Cambridge Analytica or something? I think it was Cambridge Analytica. They were basically spying on everyone. AI tools, facial recognition, you know, all this sort of stuff. But, you know, that gravel mural, too raw, I guess. I basically, you know, it was exposing too much. It was exposing the absolute draconianism in these laws and these legislations that are being passed. You know, bombers are getting early release while bombers are getting early release while people that shout at dogs are in prison. I don't know, guys. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that doesn't seem right. I don't think that seems right, but who knows, guys? Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm in the wrong. So there you have my opening monologue, guys. That's my opening. That's my opening monologue. Banksy's justice, Banksy's judicial jab. You know, smothered in secrecy, revealing an infiltrated system at the heart of the British government. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, this video is just for entertainment purposes, and it's a total conspiracy. But you know what? If the cap fits, wear it. Right, I'm going to jump over, guys, and get the comments. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I guess we're on. You know what I'm talking about now. I believe I've got proof that the British government has been infiltrated. And remember, it's not the big smoking gun that gives you the. It's not the big smoking guns you need to look for. It's these little breadcrumbs. It's the little footsteps that people seem to gloss over. But when you look down that avenue, you kind of see stuff you're not supposed to. Thank you for sharing, guys. Right, let me jump up and get the comments. Right, Leanne just digging. Shay Odell, hello Shay Odell. Lofty minimalist. Right, I'm just, guys, there's lots of people joining. Welcome if you're joining for the first time. If you've not done so already, please hit that follow button on TikTok and the subscribe button, or in fact, hit all the buttons that help this channel grow, ladies and gentlemen. Whether they're up there, whether they're down there, if they're on X, I genuinely don't know where they are. Debbie1973 saying good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Debbie. Debbie1973. Kaz is saying, oh, my phone's gone. My phone's going. Kaz is saying morning all. Sharon Owen is saying good morning as well. D. Marie Genix is saying that's a great example. I think you used. What example am I talking? I can't remember what example I was. I used quite a lot of examples then. Banksy photo with the barrister walking past with the wig on is very poignant. Yeah. I'm going to pin this. Just look how quickly that Banksy on the what is it called? The British. What is it? It's the British. Sorry, guys. It's totally gone off my mind now. The British. The Royal Judicial, is it the Royal Courts of Justice? Sorry, guys, the Royal Courts of Justice. Look how quickly, you know, that graffiti, because it is graffiti, and all Banks is a graffiti, and whether you love him or hate him, I think it's all graffiti. What I'm doing is just highlighting how infiltration works. Anything that comes against the infiltrators, you kind of want to get rid of that real quick, and you don't want people to look at it. But, you know, in Bristol, Bankses have been put up and they've been kept as part of culture. In the Royal, the Royal Hospital in what did I just say? Sorry, my Southampton University Hospital. You know, Banksy got put up where there was a little boy, I think it was, and he's not playing with superheroes anymore because he thinks the nurses are the real superheroes. If it's in line with the current direction of government, they're totally fine. They're allowed to stay. They're even profited on. If it's against, or it highlights the real problems and the real root cause of these problems, then that is dropped down at a massive level. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we here in the United Kingdom have a man in jail. We have a man, well, I believe he's still in jail. We have a man in jail for shouting at a dog. Yet we have people who've done very bad things to young girls. The word starts with R, and it ends in PE, and they never see jail time at all. So if you was an alien right now and you're looking in at the United Kingdom, you're thinking, shouting at dogs is a worse crime than getting those little girls, luring them back to some dirty flat somewhere and doing bad stuff to them. Oh, right, okay, right, you're an alien, you're looking, and you're like, oh, right, yeah, right, okay, I've got it, right, okay. Don't do that in the country, but that's totally fine. You know, that if you're an alien looking down, I don't know if they are looking down, I hope they are. That's what you're thinking right now. Anyway, guys, let me jump up again. Sorry, guys, I'm digressing. I am going to get the comments on TikTok now, and there's quite a lot on YouTube. I'm going to jump over to YouTube in a second. Thank you, Debbie, as well. I'm just going to give another shout out to Debbie because she's become a member on YouTube, and thank you so much for that. So so D. Marie Gen X is just saying there, you know, the Banksy photo is very poignant. Tracy McGregor saying morning, Jules saying morning, Johnny Lee saying morning, so is Liz Sue. Tracy McGregor is saying the more they arrest, the more unrest then they can pull a Trump and pull in the military to help contain. I don't know. I don't think we have the numbers. You know what? Yeah, of course we have the numbers. We just isolate it. Yeah, that could be the case. You know, that could be the case. But I don't think Trump is pulling in the military to stop to stop protests. Trump's pulling in the military to stop the crime. I mean, I saw these like I've seen these guys in Chicago, these like so-called gang leaders in Chicago, and they're doing these videos online saying, yeah, like home, like National Guard best not come here because we gonna fight them, bro. We gonna fight them. We gonna war, bro. And I'm thinking, right, like, you know, if you're a gangster, you do gangster stuff, all right? Like extorting people out of money, selling things, earning money. You know, if you're in the military, like, especially if you're in like, if you're in like a special forces unit, like that is all you do. Literally, day in, day out, you train to be the fittest, fastest, strongest, most efficient with your tools to come and take down people like you. So, like, I don't know what these gangsters are thinking. You know, everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster stuff. So, like, if you're a crime boss, or if you're like, if you think you're tough and you think you're hard, if the military is coming to take you down, it's going to happen. There's no way around it, guys. Absolutely zero way around it. You know, zero. No way around it. I mean, a lot of the gangsters I saw were vastly overweight. And that's fine. They're eating well. You know, they're doing well for themselves. You know, but like, how are like these gangsters going to cope in America, like in Chicago I'm talking about now? So these gangsters in Chicago, they claim to be gangsters. Like, you know, when they're there in bed, inebriated because they've been sipping on yak, like, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, the doors burst in. There's smoke and flashes everywhere around the room, and within under 30 seconds, they're laid on the stomach with their hands tied behind their back and kneeing at the back of somebody's head, and you can feel like a piece of metal there. Like, how gangster are they going to be? Like, what are they going to do at that point? At that point, they're like, what are they going to do? Like, for real, bro? Like, what are they going to do? I would speculate nothing, but let's see how that pans out. Anyway, sorry, guys. Tracy McGregor is saying and then she's going on and saying the situation. So yeah, Tracy McGregor is saying that, you know, they can bring in curfews and just like, you know, more control on people. You know, guys, I don't know. I mean, I don't go out the house after 8 o'clock. It's too dangerous. Martin Quinn saying morning, good morning to you, and thank you for sharing the live, guys. Thank you everybody for sharing the live. Demery Gen X is saying about the government taking your first, but all right, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, so guys, I give this analogy all the time, and I say, right, here in the United Kingdom, which is true, here in the United Kingdom, we have no way of opposing a tyrannical government. Zero, none, we don't have any. And the example I always give is if the government, through some potentially infiltrated government judges, passed a law, and I'm talking now the law's being passed, all the appeal stages have gone through, you know, where the government say, yep, all my judges are bought and paid for, we are going to take every firstborn child in the United Kingdom, and conspiracy theories, what they do with that child, those parents never see that child again. If that was passed into law, literally, you know, we have no legal framework to oppose that. So, and if you think about that, you know, maybe like, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 judges could probably pass that through law. They could probably pass that through law through a series of craziness. Now, I get it. That is a wild scenario, and it's probably never going to happen yet. But what I'm getting at is, what about the other laws that you kind of think, oh, well, that's a bit weird. Whatever. Oh, well, that's a bit weird. Yeah, that's because remember that other law that was passed 2 years ago? Yeah, whatever. I just want to get through to Friday and go out with my mates. Yeah, okay. You know, so people let these things go slowly, and that's where we are. We are being destroyed at a Fabian pace, guys, at a Fabian pace. And Danny Boy is saying a person got in. Danny Boy is saying a person also got put into prison for shouting at a horse. Martin Quinn is saying the dog could have been from the Men in Black. All right, like one of the alien dogs or something. And Candy Rocks is saying no one would have kids if that was the law. Yeah, so the law, what I just said, guys, it's just an example. You know, I could give lots of examples, but what I'm getting at here, the reason I give that example is because it highlights that there's no legal framework that, I mean, Russell Brand said it best yesterday. When Russell Brand appears to be right wing, you know, because our perception of left and right at the moment are being, you know, infiltrated, I guess. But when Russell Brand is, you know, talking about right wing tropes, what is democracy? Is democracy where the people choose? Or is democracy where the people have to do as they're told, regardless of what they think? I don't know. It does seem like it's the latter. I would argue that democracy is where people get to choose what's happening. And, you know, the people of Epping clearly chose to close that hotel. And I'm using that as, you know, the test case. The government said, yeah, no, we're good. We're going to keep it open. And Martin Quinn is saying, if I shouted at my German Shepherd, it would shout at me back. He's a special forces German Shepherd. I think these dogs that got shouted at were Malinois. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the British government has been infiltrated. And I believe proof of this is not in the most. It's there if you want to see it. It's there if you look for it. Of course, we're not going to find any, we're not going to find any, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not going to find a smoking gun. We're not going to find that paper to say, you know, the contract between Keir Starmer and El Diablo. You know, we're not going to find that. What you will see is the little droplets that point towards the same direction. Right, guys, I'm going to jump onto YouTube now. There's quite a lot of comments on YouTube. Right, Ashley. Sorry, Ashley Styles is saying digital ID is the biggest threat and unaliving weapon you can think of. These people intend to reduce the population by 70%. I think digital ID with coupled with universal basic income certainly is, you know, because there'll be a lot of people who will be absolutely broke, absolutely penniless. And then when the government come in and they say, right, everyone, take this, register with this digital ID, and you'll get your universal basic income, which will be a substantial amount. You know, a lot of people will do it. You know, they will. I mean, I'll probably do it if it's going to be free money. The problem is, if there's another, I've got to be careful what I say, guys. I've got to be really careful what I say. But there was a recent study conducted, and the results are out in America, saying 73.9% of people, so I guess I can round, I think I'm fair rounding that up to 74%. 74% of people that transcended to a beam of light in a certain time period was in direct response to something they'd taken. Now, guys, I need to be very careful because the algorithm will absolutely censor me to swizzle if I say what I'm talking about. Listen, you guys know what I'm talking about. So that information's out there and it's, you know, it's readily available. Oh, we're talking about aliens. We're jumping straight to aliens on YouTube, guys. Fake alien invasion on the cards. Atlas 3I Avilo plants the first seed on MSM. Their desperate need for a major distraction. This could be absolutely hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. Look, guys, it's all the hallmarks, isn't it? You know, we've been warned. But like in response to this comment, you know, what if it's real? Like, and look, guys, I get all the arguments. I'm not saying it's one way or another way. I would go myself. I think, you know, it will probably just be a big space rock. But what if it's real? What if it's really real? And what if all these whistleblowers, what if they're the bad guys? You know, and they're, you know, and it's just a flip reverse. I think Ashley Styles has got a good point here, but I can't repeat what Ashley Styles is saying while I'm still streaming on TikTok. Merrick Wells is saying on Spanish news this morning, the Banksy story was pitched as support for Palestine Action Group. Interesting. So the removal will be explained as a support for a prescribed group. Okay, so it clearly wasn't support for Palestine Action Group. It wasn't support for anyone. The actual placard that the protester was holding was totally blank. So even, I don't know if Merrick Wells is in Spain, but 100% that was not, well, I don't believe that was support for any group. You know, I think that was a totally objective, I think that was a totally objective, not objective. I think that was a swipe at the legal system, not at any protesting group. And again, guys, listen, I think you do have your right to protest. I really do. I think everybody's opinion should be heard. Do you know what this is? Yeah. Do you know what Ashley on do you know what? I was going to do a video about this yesterday. I was in Asda because I'm trying to get, like, you know, those selfie sticks that, like, you get like a Bluetooth play button on the selfie stick. I saw one in Asda. I think it was like, I can't remember how much it was, but I thought that was a good price. I didn't buy it at the time, so I went back to Asda to try and buy this selfie stick. Anyway, went to Asda. Sorry, let me read this comment first, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about, because I'm just conscious that you guys on TikTok have no idea what I'm talking about. So Ashley on YouTube is saying, ask why supermarkets installed digital ID barriers 4 years ago that aren't in use, because the digital ID isn't in use yet. How did they know? All in league with the government. So I was coming out, so I went into Asda for selfie stick. They didn't have it. So I came out, and it's like, you're like absolutely corralled now when you go into Asda. It's ridiculous. So I walked through Asda. You know, I've been to military bases that have less security, guys, honestly. I walked into Asda. I walked back to where the, you know, I think it's like the home living bit or whatever. I walked to the, like, I don't know, like George or whatever it is. I walked up there. I couldn't find the selfie stick. I came back. And I walked, obviously I didn't have anything. I walked back through the self-checkout, and there's like these digital barriers stopping me get out. And I thought, right, do I kick these down? Because, like, nobody stops Raven walking. Like, you know, I don't let that shit happen. So I thought, right, don't be a dick, Sean. You've got the girls with you. So I said to the lady, I said, excuse me, I'm just curious. Am I allowed to leave this store? She said, oh, yes, you've got to scan your receipt. I said, I've not bought anything. She said, oh, don't worry. And she scanned it, and she let me out. So I'm thinking, like, what right, like, do Asda have to literally stop me leaving their store? Like, how, like, you see where I'm going with this, guys? Like, you're literally being like, you know, and I've no doubt that will start to, you'll have to show your digital ID to go everywhere. Sorry, guys, I'm just getting to the bottom. Martin Quinn is saying they started doing it in lockdown. Checking digital cameras appeared everywhere while people was in their houses. They was putting cameras up. It was a test. But real. It's true to life. Yeah. Also, when everyone was in lockdown, can you remember how quickly the 5G towers went up? Like, they went up ridiculously quick. It was absolutely, it was absolutely phenomenal. Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining for the first time and you're on, can you do me? I don't ask this enough, guys. I know I should ask this more. If you're on and you're watching on YouTube, can you hit the like button down below? And as Debbie Doob's done, can you become a member as well? Because I'd really appreciate that. That helps me out a lot as well. If you're watching on TikTok, Crotchet35 is just subscribed on TikTok. Thank you so much, Crotchet35, for being a 4-month subscriber now. Thank you so much. And I know you're going to be a powerful contributor to this channel. And if you're watching on TikTok, guys, can you hit the buttons up there, the follow button? And of course, if you want to subscribe, we do subscribers only chats in the morning. I will always get to everyone's chat on TikTok in the morning. And to that end, ladies and gentlemen, I will continue. Martin Quinn is saying, did anyone see the government arm office flags yesterday? I did not. There was English and American not seen. I've not seen that, no. Old saying, look back to the future, the films we saw in the 80s, what's happening now? I'm still waiting for the hoverboards. You can check live on telescopes, but for some reason they have stopped streaming certain things. Yeah, so these asteroids and stuff that are heading to, look, guys, let's be clear, all right? Let's be really clear right now. Like I'm going to talk real quick about asteroids, 3-hour Atlas, Apophis. You know, we have no idea. We have no idea what is out in space. No idea. Like, people, and look, I'm not saying anything's wrong. All I'm saying is, if you can't see it on the ground with a human, like if I can't see it with my telescope, I don't even know if it's real. And even if I can't see it with my telescope, can't really see much. I mean, I've seen the rings of Saturn with our telescope, and it's cool. It's cool to see the rings of Saturn with your own telescope. Ultimately, like, we don't know what's out there. You know, we really don't know what's out there. And these images we're being shown of these like little white things, I'm not saying it's not real. What I'm saying is it could be heavily manipulated. Like, do you think those images could be like made up by CGI or something? I would say absolutely. So we don't know what we're seeing realistically, you know. So whether, you know, and there's a lot of these, there's like, is there a live feed on the International Space Station? Other telescopes have live feeds or claimed to be live feeds, but you know, these could be heavily manipulated anyway. Right, so listen guys, the crux of this live stream is, I believe the British government has been infiltrated, and I believe that proof of this is how quickly this Banksy was cleared up in you know, Slim is just saying, I have a 10-incher. I think he's talking about a telescope. I hope he's talking about a telescope. And I'm going to assume at 10 inches, I'm going to assume that is a reflector. Sorry, guys, I'm just talking about Slim's 10-incher. Stop laughing, ladies and gentlemen. It's a telescope size. It's a telescope size in reference to the lens. Yeah, and Martin over on... yeah, well, actually, Ashley first is saying, being held against your will is kidnapping. Next time, cause a massive stink. Yeah, so we're talking about that. I was leaving Asda. I don't know if you guys have got these as well. They're like these green gates, and you're not like, you can't get out. You literally like, you're like, oh. If I genuinely, guys, I think if I wasn't there with the girls, like I'd have kicked it through. Like, there's not a chance I would have, like, you know, not a chance I'd be stopped in my path. Only, like, guys, listen, just a quick one. Only the police have the right to stop and question you. In the United Kingdom, well, it may change, but in fact, let me just Google this real quick, because I remember when I was in the military. Hang on. Right. So I'm just looking at this, guys. Right. Okay. So yeah. You know, I guess this is this. So yeah, it's the rights. Yeah. So only a police officer has, in the United Kingdom, only a police officer has the right to stop and question you. If they're not in uniform, they have to show you their identification. If it's a police community support officer, they must be in uniform and accompanied by. Oh no, not by. No, they must just be in uniform. Yeah, to do that. So yeah, so there we are, guys. There we are. Only the police have the right to stop you. And as Ashley's saying over on YouTube, which is quite right, if those Asda barriers are stopping you from leaving the store, that's kidnap. And I don't like being kidnapped, guys. I really don't. It's not my thing. I'm not down for kidnap. I'm not down with kidnap. Yeah, Googly just say, let me pin this actually. Googly just throwing out something here. I was going to talk about this. So, with the backlash from David Lammy now as second in command of the country, Labour are saying, oh, no. We don't really want David Lammy as second in command. We're gonna have a competition. We're gonna have a competition. We're gonna have a vote. So maybe Sadiq Khan's going to throw his, name in the hat. I don't know. Sharon Owen is saying, Sharon Owen on TikTok, I'll pin this, is saying, I've heard Germany are stockpiling food. It's not just Germany, all over Europe, all over the world, people are stockpiling. And, even without anything going on, guys, even just with inflation in the United Kingdom, the reason, the pros versus the cons of you yourself starting to stockpile food are, I would say everybody should have some sort of calorific reserve, calorific reserve where you can hold down and, stay in your home for a predetermined length of time. And Googly is saying we may see more scandals, says the BBC boss. Again, when we talk about infiltration, let's look at the BBC real quick. Look how long. In fact, there's that. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The statue outside. Let me just get this. There's a statue outside the BBC, and it's done by. I don't even want to mention his. I'm not going to mention his name. Now, there's a statue outside. I believe it's outside the BBC. There's a statue of a man with a child outside the BBC. Now, if you look into that statue, I'm not gonna talk about like that and who did that and the significance, because I'll probably get a live stream ban. But if you look into that, it's a controversial statue. You can do a quick search for it. You understand why that statue should absolutely be removed. But you know what? It actually got restored. That statue got restored. So, when I tell people that, all the information is out there and people are telling you what it is, I'm talking about now, guys, there's a statue. I think is it outside the BBC? Yeah, outside the BBC's London headquarters. There's a statue of, I think it's like a man, and there's a child, a naked child. That's all the statue is outside the BBC. Now, if you look into the statue and the significance of that statue, it will make your stomach curdle, guys. It will make your stomach curdle. So here's a question, and you kind of can see it everywhere. If you want, let's just say, for example, you wanted to influence the nation. How would you do that? Would you start off with I don't know. If you wanted Britain to think something, would you start with grassroots movements and start start little clubs in like little crochet clubs and like going around telling people one at a time? Or would you just infiltrate the BBC and get them to do it for you? It's the somebody was saying that I was talking to I think it was an American friend, and he was saying, "Hey, Sean, you know, in I can't remember, something like the joke is, no, in North Korea they get fed 24/7 propaganda on the TV. In the United Kingdom, we have to pay for it." But yeah, you know, look into that statue, guys. So what I'm getting at here is like infiltration, it always goes in at the top. It's pointless infiltrating at the bottom. So live stream, ladies and gentlemen, was British government infiltrated. You know, I believe there's proof, and proof of this is how quickly the Banksy was removed from outside the law courts in London. Now, if we look at other historic Banksys, 1999 in Bristol, that Banksy is still there 26 years later. That's adorned as part of cultural identity. Also in 2020, the Banksy in Southampton, the Southampton University Hospital, there was a Banksy put outside, and it depicted a child with a doll. That doll was an NHS worker, a nurse. And in the background to that child, there's like a bunch of toys. I think you can see like Batman and Superman, and denoting that the real superheroes are the NHS workers. You know, they did like those TikToks that those NHS workers did. They were some of the best. That was some of the best. I've never seen TikToking like it, guys. You know, the world was collapsing. Those hospitals were overrun. There was death and destruction, misery. Those nurses were saving lives, changing lives, helping people left, right, and center. And they still had time to do TikTok videos. Guys, like, you know, my heart's out for them. You know, clap for your carers, ladies and gentlemen. 4 o'clock at 7. Everybody clap for your carers. Not 4 o'clock at 7. Thursday at 7. Everybody clap for your carers. Bang your pants for your carers. I didn't get involved with that one little bit, ladies and gentlemen. I saw the scam. Sorry, guys. Let me jump up and get these comments. Danny Boy says anyone can do a Section 24 citizen's arrest. They committed an editable offence. Yeah, I think you have to. Yeah, so I wasn't committing an offence leaving. I wasn't committing an offence leaving Asda. Although Danny Boy. Right, okay, this is an interesting one. Danny Boy, are you saying in respect to Danny Boy, are you saying we can like Danny Boy, are you saying that a citizen could arrest Keir Starmer for treason? Is that what you're saying, Danny Boy? I don't know. I don't know if Danny Boy's saying that or not. I'm certainly not saying that, guys. I don't want to get Lucy Conley. So just to be clear, Danny Boy's saying that, not me. So Danny Boy, you know, they're coming after you. Pix is saying Ariel. I don't know what that means. Wash it up liquid? I don't know. Sharon Owen is saying, why is Trump advisor visiting troops? Are they getting ready for their lobster meal? Right, okay. So just quickly, right? Every Friday, I believe, because I spent a substantial amount of time on US military bases, every Friday is steak and lobster. Every Friday. I don't know where these rumors come from that, like, you know, US military get given lobster before they go to war. Just like every military base, US military base I've been on, and you always try and get to US military bases on a Friday because it is steak and lobster night. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I will eat a phenomenal amount of ribeye on those bases. You know, I will go, the pins will come out. Excuse me. Get out of there, Netanyahu warns residents in Gaza. I mean, I don't know what they're still doing there, guys. You know, I think those people should just leave. I mean, what do they hope to achieve by staying there and then not being there, if you guys read between the lines? Googly is saying it should be a criminal offence for Palestine Action supporters to not follow through with arrests, like sitting there and being carried. I don't know what that means because they. Oh, right. Okay. So what we're talking about here is, yeah. Okay. So what we're talking about here is people when they get arrested, they just sit on the floor and they have to be carried, which is obviously taking up more manpower. And it's it's like so like if you could arrest one person with one officer, you would do that. If you had 10 officers, let's just say you had 4 officers. Let's just say you've got 4 officers, and you go to arrest you, Google. Let's just say Google is at one of these events, and the police come to arrest Google, and they're like, yeah, you know what, Google, I'm officer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm arresting you on suspicion of thought crime, and then Google sits down. That's going to take 4 officers then to remove Google. If you take 1 officer to remove Googly and Googly walks, he's like, right, I'm arrested. I'm gonna comply with this. Then you can make 4 arrests. Those 4 officers can arrest 4 people. So you literally, you're quadrupling your time. Or if you're on the protesting side, you are quartering the amount of arrests that the government can do. Danny Boy is saying, no, what I'm saying is you don't have to be stopped and held by the police. Anyone can. No, I don't think they can, Danny Boy. What I said is questioned. So okay, right, okay. So yeah, people can make a citizen's arrest, but that's if you believe they've done a crime. So I'd not done a crime when I was I'd not done a crime when I was leaving Asda, sorry. Well, maybe I'd had a few thought crimes, but I don't perceive that I'd done any crimes. I was leaving Asda, and the gates wouldn't let me. Literally, the gates in Asda wouldn't let me leave because I had to scan a receipt. Because I had to scan a receipt on the thing. I think it's going to be an absolutely disaster. I just wish people wouldn't comply with this stuff. I wish people would just say, yeah, I didn't get a receipt. Like, imagine, right? But people comply. People are so compliant, right? So imagine this now, right? Imagine everybody just boycott Asda. Just don't go. I mean, it's ridiculously expensive anyway. Although they were doing chickens for like £2.30 or something. So just say now, coming out of Asda, you just say, the woman says to you, I say, I can't get out of the till. She says, oh yeah, you need to scan your receipt. And you say, literally, the machine said, do you want your receipt? And I said, no, to save the environment. And now I've got to scan it. Yeah. Right. If everybody said, well, I'll tell you what, can you refund me this bag, please? And then let me out. They'd soon close those doors down, guys. Absolutely. Danny Boy is saying, I'm not saying you committed a crime. I know you're not, Danny Boy. I know you're not. Greta Thunberg's boat was hit by a drone as well. I do hope she's all right, guys. I do hope she's all right. How dare you fire your drones at me while I was eating my state-funded chicken? Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now on. TikTok. I'll be over on YouTube for a little bit, and then I will close that down as well. Thank you to you guys that have subscribed today. I really do appreciate it. Thank you as well to those people who've become a member on YouTube. I was looking at my YouTube channel, and there's like an affiliate link, and you can do merch as well. So I don't know if I should I don't know if I've got the time to do some t-shirts or something, or I don't know. I might buy a t-shirt printing machine, and then we can how I always say oh wow, that should go on a t-shirt, and somebody's comment, I'll think, well, that's pretty cool. Maybe we should I don't know. Maybe I should buy a t-shirt printing. Let me have a look how much t-shirt printing machines are. Give me a second, guys. I know this is totally off topic. I'm just going to have a look real quick on eBay how much a t-shirt printing machine is. Machine. 89 quid. I'm in. T-shirt and no, that's a tiny. Right, okay. God, right, I'm not getting that right. It's not going to be forever. T-shirt, right, sort by. What do I sort by? There we are. Sort by highest price. That's more like it. Yeah, I think like maybe what, like 600-700 quid. You can get like a t-shirt press and some and a printer. So looking at it anyway. Oh, hang on. I could get a 1200 watt phone case, t-shirt and mug printing setup for 945 quid. I may have to buy that. That seems like a phenomenal deal. We could have phone cases, mugs, and t-shirts. That sounds pretty cool. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, right, guys, I am going to turn this off now. I'm going to turn this off on TikTok. I'm going to be over on YouTube for a little bit where I can talk a little bit more openly. The crux of this live stream was British government infiltrated. Is there proof? I believe there is proof, and I believe proof is how quickly this Banksy was cleared up outside the law courts in London. Whereas the ones on the NHS depicting nurses as superheroes, the ones depicting a struggle against the police, those things have been left up years, literally years. Not only have they been left up, they've been left up and promoted by local council as part of that region's culture. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now, and I'll be back on at 8 this evening or just before. And we're off. We are off, and welcome everyone. Welcome you guys on YouTube. Lisa Jane is saying... Lisa Jane is saying, Sean, I have that much metal on my spine that I set off all the security alarms in supermarkets, whether I enter or leave or use the loos. Ashley Styles is saying, correct. Yeah, steak and lobster in the DFAC facility on US bases. Tug's Life is saying, I was letting my visitor out while they was banging their pots and pans. The looks I got was rather amusing. Yeah, it's... Look, again, these banging the pots and pans, clapping for our carers, it's all part, it's all part of this, national subversion. So while everybody's banging the pots in their house, in their gardens, all the 5G towers are going up and draconian laws are being passed, and nobody seems to care because it's all under the guise of protection. John Thistlethwaite is saying, I would say forget about putting your money in stocks and shares and put it into long-term food. Yeah, food that can, where things are going, you're going to save 100% in the future. Yeah, look, tinned beef, stewed steak. The price of stewed steak, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I think, honestly, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm pretty sure the price of stewed steak has outperformed Bitcoin as as an investment. Literally, I think last year, or maybe the year, I can't remember what it was, but the price of food is absolutely rocketing, guys. And believe me, it's not going to get better. There was a recent announcement out saying that not even a 1970s IMF bailout, which is not Impossible Missions Force, it's International Monetary Fund. So basically, I don't even know who this is. But basically, not even an IMF bailout could save the UK right now. We are in absolute financial ruin. We're heading to more ruin. We're going to get the autumn budget, which is going to put people into more debt. It's just going to be unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. And food, ladies and gentlemen, just imagine, right? Imagine you're there, right? It's the apocalypse. You've got your gold bar, and you're hungry, and you're looking at it. You're thinking, yeah, I should have bought some stewed steak and noodles. Definitely stewed steak and noodles, or rice or something. Because you can't eat a gold bar. Or maybe you can, I don't know. You can actually atomize it and you get something called monatomic gold. And monatomic gold is supposed to prolong your life. And that apparently was what the aliens were looking for when they came down to Earth, like, I don't know, whenever they came down, and there was mining for gold, and they were mining for gold to make it into monatomic, atomize it into a monatomic particle. They were then ingesting this monatomic gold, and it was extending the life. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just maybe that's just a wild conspiracy. Oh, Tug's Life is saying 5 years license free, don't fund clowns. I don't know what that means. I don't know what 5 years license free means. Just jumping up through comments. Right, so Martin Quinn is saying, you try doing that in Bradford, you get stopped and questioned when you're in Bradford by the Muslim Society. They're like the neighborhood police officers, but they're not the police. Can you not just walk on? I'm sure they don't have the right to stop you while you're walking. Lisa Jane is saying there's so many posts, so much on social media about how bad the choices are making. Look, yeah, again, like if like we perceive them as bad choices, but if that's the direction of travel that they're heading, as in phase one's complete, we're heading into phase two now, then that flips that upside down and that makes them good decisions. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now as well. You guys have been fantastic. I'm going to be back on at 8. I'm going to try. Actually, I'm going to try and get on a little bit earlier tonight. I think I'm going to try and get on like. I may be on at 7:30 tonight. See how things go. I am going to try and get on a little bit earlier tonight, but I'll certainly be live streaming at 8. Like I said, you know, the crux of this live stream is just look how quickly because this Banksy was criticizing the judicial system and criticizing judges for giving people 20 months for shouting at dogs, Lucy Conlin people, Pete lynching people. You know, people don't want that spotlight shone on them, and people don't want that sort of attention, especially if you've been infiltrated. It all comes back to subversion. It all comes back to an ideological war that we're facing right now, guys. And I said it before, you know, whatever happens, it's not going to be led by one person. It's going to be at local level. It's going to be individual people taking control of their own domain, not looking into other people, not looking into for a savior, not looking into a God complex, and accepting we are our own savior. Again, that should be on a t-shirt, ladies and gentlemen. I think I need to get a t-shirt press. Like, we are our own, I am my own savior. You know, what a fantastic picture. What a fantastic t-shirt. I think I would need to get a press myself though, because we do them quite quick. And if I get somebody else to print them, it has to be like a big batch, and you know, and it's that zeitgeist that have moved on. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a great day. The weather's changing. Just be conscious that it's going to be pretty cold soon, so you might want to start wrapping up. I don't know if you guys like have coal or log burners. I know I'm going to have to buy a ton of coal at some point, but I will see you at 8 or just before.